to quickly and easily scoop out the flesh of an avocado. So I'm going to first make sure my avocado is ripe, but not overripe. This will still work if it's overripe, as long as it's not too far gone and the flavor is still enjoyable. But you want to put a medium firm pressure down on the avocado, usually around where that stem end is, where it was connected to the tree. And there should be some give. Hopefully you can see that my finger goes in. But you don't want it to just go straight in and easily go through the skin, and it's rotten. But you also don't want it to be so hard that you really have to push to make any indentation. And don't refrigerate avocados. So if you get one that's underripe and you put it in the refrigerator, it's not going to ripen. So that's another tip. Just leave it out at room temperature. And then if it's ripe before you want to use it, at that point, you can put it in the refrigerator and it will slow down the ripening process. And I'll give you another tip on how to keep it if you're not going to use the whole thing when we slice into this. So with that, we'll go ahead and slice in. So I'm just going to take my chef's knife and I'm just going to cut straight down next to the stem till I hit the pit. And then I'm just going to roll it around the cutting board. My knife is hitting the pit all the way through. And then once I get to where I started, I'll remove my knife and then just hold my fingers on both sides and just twist. That will usually come apart. And this is a really beautiful, perfectly ripe avocado. So now what we can do is if we want to take the flesh out of here, we can just go ahead and scoop that out. So I'll just take what's a tablespoon, just a regular one you would have in your silverware drawer, put it right up against the skin, and you should be able to feel the spoon pressing on your fingers underneath, and you just want to keep firm contact with your fingers, meaning as you turn the skin, and you'll be able to scoop that all out in one nice, beautiful piece with really nothing left behind. No waste at all. If you wanted to slice it up first, I can show you that with the other half, but you can slice it before you remove it. I'll just go ahead and put that in here. Right. So the trickier part is really getting that pit out. So there's many ways to do this. I'm going to show you a way that's going to keep you safe while you're trying to get it out, and that would be first, you can either go down like this, or you can hold your avocado upright, and then without coming above where your fingers are, you just keeping the blade of the knife below where your fingers are. I'm just going to go a little whack like this, and you just want enough force that the knife is going to penetrate into the edge of the seed of the avocado. So like that. And then usually you can just stick your fingers in there if it's a ripe avocado and push away against the knife and pull that seed out like that. So it's beautiful. And then what you don't want to do now is a lot of people will now grab on and pull this off. So what's going to happen if you do that, I'm not going to do that, I'm just demonstrating, is that when you pull away, humans' natural reaction when something quickly releases is to bring your muscle back toward where it was to start. And so you don't want to accidentally, have the reflex of bringing yourself back toward the knife. So I will usually use the edge of the avocado to kind of tap that off the knife, or use your scraper, or use something else, but use something else to push the pit off of your knife. So now we have this. If we wanted to cut into it and make some nice slices, then you can take your paring knife. If you're not super experienced with this, I would actually recommend using a butter knife so you can't cut through the skin. But I'm just going to do a super light pressure. I can feel a little pressure on the other side and just make sure that I'm not cutting through. So you can make some slices. If you wanted some beautiful slices for a salad or a sandwich, this would be how you would do it. As long as it's ripe and you're not pressing hard, even if you did poke through, you're probably not going to cut yourself. But again, just to be safe, butter knife is best. And actually, this is a great thing that you can do with kids. If you want to give kids a job in the kitchen, which I strongly encourage to get people in the kitchen, everyone cooking, that's a great way to do it. But let's say we actually aren't going to use this right now. We want to save this. We're just going to mash up this part. Maybe we're going to make guacamole. Obviously, you wouldn't make guacamole with just a half of an avocado, but we want to show a technique for storage here. So I would actually put the pit back in the part I was going to save, and then I would take the empty skin that I had from my other piece of avocado and just kind of cover it up, prevent as much oxygen from hitting the cut side of the avocado, prevent oxidation, and then put it in a Ziploc baggie, squeeze all the extra air out, seal it up, and put it in the fridge. And then usually you can get a couple of days out of that avocado before it goes bad. That's a lot better than you're going to do just putting this part scooped out, which will be brown within minutes to hours. So the other thing that you can do, so let me go ahead and get my pit back out, set that off to the side for now. I'm going to scoop out the flesh, this half, put that in the bowl. Make sure that if you're doing the guacamole recipe or something else, that you grab that little stem end, which will tend to migrate into whatever you're making. You gotta catch that. And then let's say I'm mashing this up. If you had a fork, I would do that to mash. I'm just going to mash up a little bit with my spoon here. So let's say I've mashed this up much better than it is currently. I've made it a guacamole and I want to prevent it from browning. So you have, kind of a creamy, smooth texture. Then what I would do is I'm taking this pit out again, make sure you save it, put it on the top. And then if you take a piece of plastic wrap or something else that will lay, wax paper, something else that's going to prevent the air from touching the cut part of the avocado, then that will help prevent oxidation. And there's something in the pit that further helps prevent browning. I don't know the exact details of how that works, but I promise it is helpful. So I just press that plastic wrap right along the edge, so really there's no air getting to that, and I might even press that pit down in there a little bit so more of it's touching the green part of the avocado. And then you can usually get a day or two out of the guacamole, so if you want to make it ahead for a party or something like that, you can do this. Even if it starts to brown, it's just going to be the very, very top layer. You can just skim that off and you're still going to have a nice guacamole underneath. I'll give you a few more hours, maybe a day extra beyond. I know when I show people the trick of putting the pit into the avocado, they don't always believe me that's going to work. So I actually set this off to the side, and this is several hours later, where you can see that as we pull this off that it's still, largely green. And if you just had that sitting out most of the day at uncovered, without the pit at room temperature, this would be a brown kind of nasty mess. But this actually looks still great, palatable. If this was fully made into guacamole, I would happily dig in right now.